Singapore's Auditor-General's office has flagged several public agencies over possible falsified approvals, questionable quotations, and irregular records in its latest annual audit. In some cases, millions of dollars were involved. The report says such practices undermine audit integrity and cast doubt on the authenticity of official records. Police reports have been filed. The government says it takes the findings seriously and has taken steps to address lapses. The AGO audited the government financial statements, as well as financial statements of 3 statutory boards, 4 government-owned companies, and 2 other accounts. Disbursing housing grants to applicants who were ineligible and overpaying contractors for patrol and enforcement work that was not done. Those are among the lapses uncovered at the Housing and Development Board. The finding is among several possible irregularities uncovered across public agencies last financial year, including possible overpayments, contract management failures, and revenue lapses. Nikhil Kata reports.
At the HDB, the AGO found issues with how applicants' eligibility across 3 schemes related to housing grants were checked. As a result of the lapses, flats were allocated and grants disbursed to ineligible applicants. The agency was also found to have overpaid nearly $10 million for patrol and enforcement work that was not properly carried out, if at all. It also wrongly approved almost $25 million in season parking applications and renewals, and under-collected an estimated $1 million across nearly 11,000 commercial vehicle transactions. In response, HDB says it has introduced additional checks on residential addresses against the Immigration and Checkpoint Authority's records and has taken steps to recover wrongly given out grants. It will also tighten eligibility checks and roll out a revamped season parking system by 2027. Formal warning letters over contractual breaches have been issued and contract requirements have been strengthened. Also under scrutiny is the Education Ministry, after auditors flagged possible falsified approval emails for officer appointments. MOE says it has since dismissed the officer responsible. MOE explains that its manual approval process was vulnerable to unauthorized changes. It has since introduced monthly independent checks and plans to automate the process by the end of next year. The National Cancer Centre Singapore building project, completed in 2022, also saw multiple lapses. Approvals were obtained only after works had started, while some fees were not calculated according to standard procedures. This resulted in an estimated overpayment of more than $360,000, along with $2.2 million that were not properly substantiated. The Health Ministry said it will recover overpayment where necessary by the end of this year. It will also strengthen contract management processes to ensure procedural changes are approved before implementation. The report also called for stronger grant management by the Skills and Workforce Development Agency. Auditors found weaknesses in how some training grants were approved, paid, and monitored. In some cases, grants were disbursed despite incomplete documents, while concerns were raised over possible abuse of course funding. In response, SWDA says it will review the cases and recover grants where warranted. The Auditor-General says the agencies have committed to addressing the lapses. It will follow up to ensure the necessary improvements are made, while calling for stronger oversight, tighter controls, and better contract and grant management to prevent similar issues from happening again.
The Auditor-General also uncovered lapses and possible irregularities at several other agencies. At the Gambling Regulatory Authority, safeguards failed to stop some excluded people from gambling. Between April 2023 and March this year, 120 excluded persons entered casinos, with 13 of them going unreported. Others did so even after exceeding their monthly visit limits. 32 excluded persons also placed online bets worth almost $76,000 through unclosed Singapore Pools accounts. The GRA attributed the lapses to data and system issues and have begun investigations. The AGO also found that the Manpower Ministry charged foreign worker levies above the legal rates for work permit holders working in marine shipyards. The excess totaled $4.82 million over 2 months since January. MOM has since updated its legislation and will refund affected firms. At the Defence Ministry, auditors found possible irregularities in quotations linked to over $4 million in payments. The report said this raised doubts on whether the quotations were genuine and whether the government obtained reasonable market rates. MINDEF is now training staff to identify similar quotation issues and expanding its pool of vendors. It has also lodged a police report. At Sport Singapore, auditors found irregularities in quotations linked to over $14,200 in payments for mechanical and electrical services. The concern is whether the quotations were authentic and whether value for money had been obtained. Sport SG has also filed a police report and taken steps to manage the risk of such items. In response, the Finance Ministry says agencies thoroughly investigate the root cause of lapses and take prompt corrective actions. These include recovering overpayments, enhancing processes, and taking disciplinary actions. The government will act decisively against wrongdoing, with cases referred to the police where appropriate. MOF adds improvements will be made in areas such as the management of contracts, operations, revenue, grant and priority schemes, as well as in financial and IT controls. The government will take on board the good practices observed from the report to strengthen the management of public resources and reinforce a culture of good governance across the public service.